and APS students. Welcome to At Home with APS. We are so happy you've joined us this week, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Good morning, APS students and families. My name is Lauren Mosley, and I'm a reading specialist from Dr. Charles R. Drew Elementary School. And today we're going to do a phonemic awareness lesson. Today we're going to think about syllables. Understanding syllables helps us to pronounce different sounds and understand how words are said. Let's practice some syllables right now with your names. Go ahead and shout out your name, and I'll show you how I break it into syllables. Oh, I hear a name. I hear Christopher. 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 Oh, I think I hear Alexander. 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 Oh, I hear Addison. 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 Oh, I hear John. 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 Oh, is that Nicholas? Nicholas. Nicholas. Oh, Damari. 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 One more. Oh, I think I hear Aiden. 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 So go ahead and get your hands ready because we're going to practice chopping up some words in order to break them apart and put them back together. Now that your chopping hands are ready, let's get started by blending some syllables together. I'm going to say the small parts of a word, and your job is to say them too and then put them all together. So let me show you with an example first. Confusion. Then you would do confusion. Confusion. All right, I think you're ready to give it a try. Watch me and then you do it. Evacuate. Your turn.
Evacuate. Evacuate.
Good job. Listen for the next one. Autograph.
Autograph. Autograph.
Good work. Here's the next one. Daydreaming.
Daydreaming. Daydreaming.
Good work. Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Spaghetti.
Invisible.
Invisible. Invisible.
Discovery.
Discover of.
Oh, I heard a little mistake on that one. Let me give it to you again. Discovery. Your turn.
Discovery. Discovery.
Good work. Magnetic.
Magnetic. Magnetic.
Next one. Umbrella.
Umbrella. Umbrella.
Good work. Responsible.
Responsible. Responsible.
Good job blending smaller parts of words together to make a larger word. Now it's your turn to try and take the word apart. Watch me first and I'll show you what to do. The first word is gigantic. So you would say gigantic. 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 All right, let's get started. Flamingo. Your turn.
Flamingo. Flamingo. Flamingo.
Good work. Explanation.
Explanation. Explanation. Explanation.
Guarantee.
Guarantee.
Good.
Guarantee. Guarantee.
Good job. Next one is intelligence.
Intelligence. Intelligence. Intelligence.
Good job. Next one, celebrate.
Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate.
Estimate.
Estimate. Estimate. estimate.
Good work. Responsible.
Responsible. Responsible.
Good job. This one's a little tricky, so try to slow it down a little bit. Electricity. Your turn.
Electricity. Electricity.
Oh, I heard a little mistake. Let me help you with that one. It's really long. Electricity. Electricity. Good work blending and segmenting words with me today. You did such a good job. Today, while you're at home, I encourage you to look around your house for different objects that you think you could break apart and put back together. So, for example, in this room, I see a pillow. So I could practice and go pillow, pillow. Give that a try today while you're at home. Great work blending and segmenting words with me today. Bye.
Hello everyone, Miss Aronson here again, here to read you The Dinosaur, written by Stephen Cosgrove, illustrated by Carolyn Laporte. I wonder what it's going to be about. Once the earth was nothing more than one big swamp. There were no people, there were no roads, and no houses. The land was filled with dinosaurs, big and bigger, mostly bigger. There were supersaurs, brachiosaurs, and the brontosaurus. All of them were big, very, very big. The biggest of the big were the ultrasaurs. They were so big that the word big is not big enough. They lived in a big world. Life was fairly easy for the big dinosaurs. There were big plants to eat and big lakes and rivers to drink from. Life was good for the big dinosaurs. As big as the big dinosaurs were, there were those that were small. In fact, they were smaller than small. They were tiny. These little creatures were called the dinosaurs. They would run here and there looking for food. The best food was large walnuts. The walnuts were bigger than even they were. They must be pretty small walnuts, like this big. The dinosaurs would feast on the nuts and eat and eat. While they ate, they would watch out for the supersaurs. But if a dinosaur were stepped on by the supersaur, it would be super sore indeed. Things would have stayed this way for millions and millions of years, but something scary happened. It all started one day. A triceratops went lumbering by, just as scared could be. "The ice is coming! The ice is coming!" he cried. "Ice?" asked the theropod. "Ice would be nice on a hot summer's day." But ice wasn't nice. It wasn't nice at all. It was the coming of an ice age. It wasn't long before it began to get cold and colder and colder. The theropods could see great mounds of ice, glaciers, creeping down from the mountains. "We must move from here," said the theropods. "We must escape to someplace warmer." And with little thought or planning, they began moving away from the ice. But the dinosaurs were too small to escape. Their legs were too short, and they could never run far enough. "What are we to do?" one dinosaur asked another. "If we stay here, we will be covered with ice." They thought and thought, big plans for little creatures. "We must find some place to stay warm," one finally said to another. "A place where we can hide from the ice," the other said in return. "I have an idea," said the first one. He quickly told them his plan. "Follow me." What do you think his plan is? I'm getting a hint maybe from the picture. With that, he searched about and found a large walnut shell. The other dinosaurs did the same. They ate the meat inside until there was only hollow shells left. Then one by one, they each climbed inside a shell. They twisted and curled themselves inside and pulled down the top tight. Safe and warm in the hard shells, they fell fast asleep. They slept as the earth turned cold. Sadly, all the other dinosaurs became extinct during the Ice Age. The dinosaurs slept and slept, waiting for the ice to melt, and in time, it did. After the ice melted and the days became warm all over the world, Dinosaurs crawled out of their walnut shells, but to this day, some dinosaurs still remain asleep in their shells. If you're lucky, someday you may crack open a walnut shell and there find a dinosaur fast asleep.
Welcome, Arlington families. We're so glad that you could join us today to learn a little bit more about questioning, inquiring, and dinosaurs. I'm Miss Green, Resource Teacher of the Gifted at Randolph Elementary School, and thank you for joining this lesson. Earlier, you were able to listen to and read The Dinosaur. It's a fictional story about really small dinosaurs that have decided that they needed to escape the really cold weather that's coming and hide in walnut shells. So their idea is to go ahead and take a long sleep or hibernation in the walnut shells and then hopefully be able to come out later where it is warm and safe for them to explore. We know that's not exactly true, but let's learn some actual facts and think about dinosaurs and what we know and what we want to learn. Are you ready? Great, let's go. So one of the strategies that is really helpful in thinking about new topics or exploring what we know is called the critical and creative thinking strategy of questioning. And questioning just means that you ask questions and think about questions that help you learn and make connections. You are an inquirer if you wonder and ask questions. So let's find out how we're going to be inquirers today around the topic of dinosaurs. Let's start with, what questions do you have about dinosaurs? Go ahead and take a moment and think about that. Wow. I can hear you thinking of some great questions, like how long ago did they live? Or how big were they? What did they eat? Some of you might have even asked, well, how did they become extinct? Those are some really great questions, and we're going to discuss those in this lesson. Let's start with another question, though. People were not alive when dinosaurs were around, so how do you think we know all about dinosaurs? Great thinking. Yes, through fossils, lots and lots of fossils. When plants and animals from long ago are buried, they turn into rock. Those are fossils, and that is how we learn about plants and animals from long ago, including dinosaurs. Let's keep learning about dinosaurs. So, a long time ago, millions of years ago, long before there were any people, there were dinosaurs. The largest dinosaurs were over 30 meters long and up to 15 meters tall. The smallest dinosaurs were about the size of a chicken. And did you know what the word dinosaur means? It actually was designed or defined to mean fearfully great lizard, so kind of a scary big lizard. Dinosaurs were reptiles and most laid eggs. Look at this picture of fossils of eggs laid by a hadrosaurus. Those are really cool. So take a look at the pictures of these dinosaurs. One of these is a triceratops. The triceratops means three-horned face, so it is the one that has three horns. What do you think the triceratops used their horns for? Those are some really good ideas. So some of you said maybe they used it to protect themselves from enemies or predators. That's a good idea. Or maybe it was to actually take care of their family, or to battle a little bit for having the rights to be with a particular Triceratops. Let's find out a little bit more. Triceratops was a herbivore. That means it didn't eat any meat. It only ate plants. It had no teeth, but a hard beak like a parrot. Triceratops probably charged into its enemy like the modern day rhinoceros does. Oh, okay, great. That makes sense too. Triceratops walked on 4 short, strong legs. Interesting. Let's go ahead and find out about another dinosaur, one of my favorites. This gorgeous dinosaur is a Pachycephalosaurus. Can you say Pachycephalosaurus? Great job. Look at these pictures. What do you think this dinosaur used his or her bony head for? Yeah, that makes sense too. I think that it probably used it to sort of headbutt other dinosaurs. Maybe they were trying to attack them, or they were trying to protect their family, and that's why they used it. Let's find out a little bit more. The name Pachycephalosaurus means thick-headed lizard. The dome-shaped head of a Pachycephalosaurus is believed to have been used by males for mating or to chase off rival mates. Okay, that's an interesting theory. We're ready to learn a little bit more? Okay, did you know that there's no such thing as a brontosaurus? I know. They mentioned brontosaurus in the book we just read, and we see that word everywhere, but no, it's not actually a dinosaur. Let me share a little bit why. So first, there was an apatosaurus that lived in the Jurassic period around 150 million years ago. The apatosaurus is one of the largest animals to have ever walked on Earth and was discovered in 1877. Later, a paleontologist found some different fossils, and people incorrectly thought it was a new species, which was named the Brontosaurus. It turns out that the second set of fossils were just the adult version of the Apatosaurus. So there you have it. There is no Brontosaurus. We just have an Apatosaurus, which has a really long neck and likes to eat plants. Good to know. So what happened to all the dinosaurs? The truth is, we don't actually know. We can make a lot of guesses, and scientists have tried to do a lot of investigation, and we have some great theories, but we're not exactly sure. One common theory is that a giant meteor the size of a mountain crashed onto Earth, and this made it really difficult to live on Earth with everything happening, and there were what we call cataclysmic, really terrible events on Earth that made it hard to breathe the air and get food. Some other scientists believe that there were massive volcanic eruptions. So volcanoes erupting everywhere, and obviously with lava and ash being thrown into the atmosphere, it's difficult to breathe and also find food. So I don't know. What do you think? Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So what can we do next? Well, I had a great idea for a family engagement tip. Create your own dinosaur. That sounds pretty exciting to me. I hope you will like it as well. So let's review a little bit about dinosaurs, or what we know. Some were really big and plant eaters, and some were still kind of big, but meat eaters. Plant eaters like to walk on 4 feet, and meat eaters mostly walked on 2 feet. Some had really sharp teeth, some had bony plates, Some had a kind of a bony tail and some spikes. Some looked like they had a plate coming out of their head. All kinds of different dinosaur shapes and sizes. And so you can think a little bit about that when you're creating your dinosaur. One way that might help you do that is to think about the critical and creative thinking strategy: fluency, originality, flexibility, and elaboration. Basically, what this is asking you to do is come up with lots of ideas. So that's fluency, as many different ideas as you can. Originality, you've probably heard of. It's when you come up with your own idea or you combine ideas in a new way. That's originality. Think of something that has never been done before, or in this case, a dinosaur that has never existed before. And then flexibility and elaboration is when you make new connections and add on ideas or expand and think a little bit more. So if you put all those together, you can create your own dinosaur that you can draw on a piece of paper, or you could build out of paper or other objects around your house or yard. It's really up to you. But think of a really cool name for it also, and start getting those creative juices flowing. So it's your turn to create your dinosaur. And again, you can use whatever materials you want, whatever is easy for you. But here are some questions to help you guide planning, creating your own dinosaur. Is your dinosaur a plant or meat eater? Does it move on 2 or 4 legs? Does it have bony plates? Does it have horns? Does it have frills? Is it small, medium, or large size dinosaur? Those are just a few. I know you have some great ideas, and I can't wait to see them. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thinking.
Hi readers! Today we're going to work together to learn a few high-frequency words. Now, high-frequency words are important because we see them a lot in books when we're reading, and we use them a lot in our stories when we're writing. And the easier these words are for us, the more energy we can save to solve those tricky words in our books and to write some wow words in our writing. So today we'll do the cut and build activity together from your choice board. Now, in this activity, you need to choose 10 high-frequency words. And then you're going to get an index card or some other type of paper that you have at home. You're going to write the word on a card, and then we'll cut the letters apart and make a little puzzle. Mix the letters up and put it back together. So if you do not have index cards, you might just use a piece of construction paper, some other paper you have around the house. Today I'm going to be using construction paper because I think it's easier to move around when I make the puzzle. So I'm just going to fold the paper in half like a hamburger, and then fold it again, and once more so that I make little cards. And I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and I'm going to just cut those cards apart until I have my cards. For today, I only chose 5 words that we'll be working on together. And the first word that I chose is about. About. Okay, read the words with me if you can. The second word is said. Said. The third word is they. They. The fourth word is with. With. And the last word is outside. Now, I chose these words because these are words that I know I use a lot in my writing, and I also see them a lot in books. The word said is a word that we see all the time in our stories, and when we're writing stories about people with some dialogue, people talking, we write this word a lot. If there are a few words that are tricky and that you get easily confused, you might not want to choose to study those words on the same day. Work to learn one word really well and then save the other word for another day. Okay, now that I have my words on the cards, and you can see that I left a little bit of extra space in between the letters, so that it makes it a little bit easier for me to cut the letters apart. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut apart these letters to make a little puzzle. Now that I've cut each word apart, letter by letter, I'm going to have my son Harrison help me put them back together. First word is about. You always want to make sure you start with the first two letters first, working in a left to right direction, just like reading and writing.
About.
The second word is said.
Said.
The third word is they.
They.
Fourth word is with.
With.
Last word is outside.
Outside.
Now that we put all of our puzzles back together, you might want to save these little puzzles to work on them another day. So if you have some paper clips at home, you might just paper clip the little pieces together and you can keep them in a baggie and to use on another day. You could also use them to maybe test someone at home, like a mom or a dad. You could give them a little puzzle and ask them to put together the word, but don't tell them which word they need to make. They just need to use a high-frequency word list to figure it out. I hope you enjoyed working with me today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Hi everyone, my name is Miss Aronson and I'm a second grade teacher at Nottingham. I am going to read to you today a book called Frogs and Toads by Kira Freed. I found a frog. Have you ever seen an unusual animal in nature? Did you want to learn more about it? Last week I saw a really neat frog and that was just the start of a wonderful adventure. What does a frog say when it sees something great? Totally awesome. I took this picture of the frog I saw. I looked for the frog in a book called A Field Guide. I started looking through the pictures in the book. I was amazed to see all the different kinds of frogs and toads. It turns out I saw a wood frog. The Goliath frog is the largest frog in the world. Wow, look how big that is. Did you know there are almost 5,000 kinds of frogs and toads? The biggest one is as big as a dinner plate. One of the smallest is the Brazilian gold frog. Its real size is shown here. Wow, that's tiny. I wanted to know more, so I went to the internet. Did you know that frogs and toads are relatives of newts and salamanders? They're all amphibians, which means they live part of their life in water and part on land. Amphibians are cold-blooded animals. They don't make their own body heat. They get warmth from the heat of the sun. Frog, toad, newt, salamander. Life cycle. I also learned that most frogs and toads lay jelly-covered eggs in water. The babies that hatch are called tadpoles and look like little fish. Tadpoles breathe with gills, just like fish, and they live in water. But it's amazing what happens as they grow. Egg stage, tadpole stage. Their gills disappear and they grow lungs so that they can breathe air like other land animals. They grow legs and then arms. Later, their tail shrinks. By the time their tail is gone, they move on to land. I saw some very cool photos of the life cycle of frogs and toads. So here's the life cycle. Egg, tadpole, metamorph, frog, and then it starts over. About frogs. Frogs are famous for their ability to leap with their long, strong back legs. They leap to catch insects and other prey. A frog can catch an insect in an instant with its long, sticky tongue. Why are frogs so good at baseball? Because they catch a lot of flies. The eyes and nostrils of a frog are on the top of its head. Frogs can see, smell, and breathe while they're mostly underwater. In fact, they breathe through their skin while they're underwater. Frogs can make an amazing amount of noise. Male frogs sing loudly to attract a mate. Do you know male frogs use throat pouches to sing? Some other male frogs have one throat pouch and others have two. What has more lives than a cat? A frog. It croaks every night. Do you know the difference between frogs and toads? Here's what I learned from a book at the library. Frogs have smooth or slimy skin. Toads have dry, bumpy skin. Frogs live in wet places. Toads live in dry places. Frogs have long, strong back legs for leaping, and toads have shorter back legs for walking. Frogs have webbed feet, mostly. Toads have no webbing on their feet. Frogs lay eggs in groups. Toads lay eggs in long chains. Defense. I was sad to learn that frogs and toads are food for many other animals. Bats, snakes, birds, and rodents all hunt them. But frogs and toads have clever ways to stay safe from animals that might try to eat them. What happens when a frog parks illegally? They get towed away. This frog wasn't able to escape. Some frogs and toads, like the wood frog I saw, are the same color as their habitat. This is called blending in. It allows them to hide better from predators. Some kinds of frogs are so poisonous that just touching their skin is deadly. These frogs are brightly colored to warn predators to stay away. Do you know one golden poison frog contains enough poison to kill 10 people or 20,000 mice? This frog is one of the most poisonous animals on Earth. The golden poison frog lives in the South American rainforest. Some frogs try to trick predators that might want to eat them. The tomato frog puffs up like a balloon when the snake gets near. The snake thinks the frog is too big to eat. If the snake tries to eat it anyway, the frog leaks a liquid like glue from its skin. Ooh. The tomato frog lives on an island off of the coast of Africa. Frogs are cool. Frogs and toads come in many shapes, sizes, and colors. You can find them in trees, in or near water, and on the ground. One thing is true about all of them. They're amazing animals. What kinds of frogs have you seen? Tree frogs have sticky pads on their fingers and toes to help them grip. Why are frogs so happy? They eat whatever bugs them. Okay, so here's some important vocabulary that we read about in the story. So ability is a skill or talent. Field guide, a book that helps people identify living things in nature. Habitat, the environment in which an animal lives. Predators, animals that hunt and eat other animals. Prey, animals that are food for predators. Rodents, mice and their cousins. So I challenge you today to come up with your own sentences using some of those special vocabulary words. And that's the end. Thanks for reading with me today.
Hello, I'm Amanda Dempsey. I'm the resource teacher for the gifted at Hoffman Boston Elementary School. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm excited to share a creative thinking strategy with you. The text that we're going to use today is Frogs and Toads from the 2nd grade packet. Let's quickly recap what we learned from this nonfiction text. First of all, there are almost 5,000 kinds of frogs and toads. They are amphibians, so they live part of their life in the water and part on land. Most frogs and toads hatch from eggs and begin life as tadpoles. They go through a metamorphosis and grow legs and arms and make their way to land. Frogs can leap really far and can catch an insect within a blink of an eye with a long, sticky tongue. Frogs can smell, see, and breathe while mostly underwater. They can also be quite noisy. Frogs and toads have many differences. For example, frogs have long back legs for leaping, while toads have shorter back legs for walking. Some frogs can hide from predators by blending in, while others stand out with bright colors as a warning because they are poisonous. Frogs and toads are amazing animals. There were even some funny jokes in the text. Here's one of my favorites. Why are frogs so happy? They eat whatever bugs them. Now, how can I put all of the things that I learned about frogs and toads together? I suppose I could write a report, I could list all the facts, I could retell everything I learned, or I can use encapsulation. You're probably wondering, what is encapsulation? Encapsulation is a way of taking all the information we learn and putting it together in a phrase and or visual that sums up the most essential things to remember into something creative such as a bumper sticker, a meme, perhaps a hashtag, a news headline, or even a movie poster. We always want to think, what's the most essential thing to remember? And can I explain that in just a few words? One way that we can begin this is with a graphic organizer to help us organize our thoughts. We'll begin with the main idea of frogs and toads. Frogs and toads are different in many ways, but both can do some amazing things such as camouflage themselves, alert predators that are poisonous, or even catch flies with a quick-moving tongue. Now let's narrow down that main idea to a phrase no more than 10 words. Although they are different, frogs and toads are amazing animals. Now we're going to take it even one step further and come up with a straightforward phrase and maybe think of a visual that goes with it. Frogs and toads are amazing. For my final encapsulation product, I think I'll make a bumper sticker. I'm going to include a drawing of a frog, then something that makes sense for a bumper sticker. Since they go on cars, I'm going to start with "Break for frogs and toads," then include my phrase from the graphic organizer. They are amazing animals. Now this is ready to be put on a car. I think my bumper sticker effectively encapsulates everything I learned from frogs and toads. They are amazing animals. Now it's your turn. Can you think of another way to state the main idea of frogs and toads? Now narrow down your main idea to a phrase no more than 10 words. Can you encapsulate that further? What might be a good visual that goes with your idea? Can you create a meme using the phrase you just came up with? Take a few moments and create your meme now. else might you encapsulate this week? Maybe you can choose another story from the packet, read it to your family, and work together to encapsulate it, perhaps into a fun hashtag. You can even encapsulate a TV show you watch with your family this week. Be creative and see what you come up with. Have a great week and enjoy using the encapsulation strategy. Bye!
Today, we are going to practice adding and deleting phonemes to make new words. First, let's practice adding. I will say a word, you will repeat it at home. Then, we will add a sound or a phoneme to it and create a whole new word. Let's see. I'll say rail, and you say rail at home. At the beginning sound t. What's the new word? Trail. Did you say trail? That's the right answer. Let's practice with lane. At the beginning sound p. What's the new word? Plane. Let's practice with rink. At the beginning sound b. What's the new word? Brink. Brink is another word for edge. Ravel. At the beginning sound t. What's the new word? Travel. Mile. At the beginning sound s. What's the new word? Smile. Rib. At the beginning sound k. What's the new word? Crib. Top. At the beginning sound s. What's your new word? Stop. And that's what we are going to do. We are going to stop right here, and now let's practice deleting phonemes. For example, I will say groom. Remove the beginning sound g. What is left? Room. Blink. Remove the beginning sound b. What is left? Link. Let's try with clean. Remove the beginning sound k. What is left? Lean. Sleep. Remove the beginning sound s. What is left? Leap. Trip. Remove the beginning sound t. What is left? Rip. Swallow. Remove the beginning sound s. What is left? Wallow. Rise. Remove the beginning sound r. What is left? Ice. We are all done for today. See you next time.
I'm Megan Lynch, Assistant Principal at Nottingham Elementary School. Comprehension of text is based in part on background knowledge and experience. To support your child's comprehension skills, provide opportunities for experience. This helps make reading relevant. Your students want to learn about things that have an impact on their daily lives and make connections with the text. This week, you'll be reading 2 texts, a fiction and a nonfiction book. Before you begin, you might prompt your student about what they already know about the topic. You may be surprised at what they tell you. After reading the book, you may consider a virtual field trip to a museum to learn more about the topic, or a walk around the neighborhood or drive around town to look for things that you've read about. You might consider doing a simple activity to connect the text to an experience, such as, last week my son and I read a book about clouds. Later that day, we went in the backyard, laid in the grass, and looked up at the sky. We talked about things we read about in the book and things we were seeing in real life. It was a simple activity, but it gave purpose to the text and allowed my son to think past the words on the page and think about what he learned. You can also help children link new information and ideas to what they already know and understand. Asking questions that encourage children to notice, compare, and contrast, making connections with the text to what they've experienced in their life, and encourage children to think about how this text might apply to what they will do in the future. Use every opportunity to help children make connections with what they're reading. By doing so, you will help them begin to build comprehension and meaning making, both essential for reading success. Have fun!
As we end this episode of At Home with APS, we hope that you enjoyed seeing APS teachers and staff bringing literacy instruction into your own home. Maybe you even got to see one of your very own teachers that you worked with during the school year. I'm sure that was really exciting for you. So we invite you, parents and families, to continue to take videos and pictures of how you are engaging in literacy activities while at home. Be sure to tag us on whatever social media outlet you prefer using the hashtag @HomeWithAPS, and we look forward to seeing all the exciting and creative ways APS students and families are engaging with literacy while at home. And who knows, maybe you can make a special guest appearance on At Home with APS. Speaking of which, check out this dedicated APS student as she practices hearing all of the sounds in the word box. Until our next early literacy episode, we ask that you stay safe, stay healthy, Arlington, and we look forward to seeing you again soon for our next edition of At Home with APS.